I had a meeting that was called a Justify Your Existence meeting. Got promoted to personal banker is because I couldn't balance a till. There are a lot of people that have either got a FinCredit file, have had a life event, something has gone wrong that has left them in a situation. Look, I refuse to believe that people in non-standard are kind of, everyone's a problem.
Also, the easiest job in the world is lending. It's getting it back is the tough thing. And this is part 2 of my interview with Ross Chambers. We're going to talk about a business and about his career. And man of quite experience. It's a pleasure to have him back on board, back here in the Swansea studio. Welcome, Ross.
Oh, thanks for having me again. And I'm devastated that I've come here again and the dog is still not sitting with me. So it's it's a blow.
It's rare that she goes to anybody but me. Ross, so you've had a good long career, all in finance. Mainly.
Yeah, pretty much.
And we've discussed your neurodiversity part.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the finance side of it, how you got into it, why you got into it, challenges, and so on and so forth. So start me with your career. Where did you start out doing?
Yeah, so my first kind of came out of university, had no clue of what I wanted to do. I fell into basically like an IT recruitment job.
Okay.
So recruitment was a great grounding.
That's a hard job. Recruitment, right? Like I do not get
100.
it, right? They ring me all the time, and I get it, and they want 20% of the way, and all this kind of stuff, right? But what a hard job, because people just let you down all the time.
And by the way, it was the most. It was a real introduction to kind of quite cutthroat sales at that time. I think it's changed quite a lot, by the way. So that the caveat is that I'm sure these practices don't still go on. But my first experiences were pretty much, I remember I worked for a company that had every Friday, and at Fridays at about 2:30, I still kind of go a bit cold because this was my time. I had a meeting that was called a Justify Your Existence meeting. And basically I would have to walk in with a piece of flip chart and write down my numbers on a board, and I'd go into a corner office, and at the back of the corner office was a fire escape, and let me tell you, some people did not come out of that office. So it was it was
to the pits of hell.
Yeah, it was very sales focused, pretty. I know we spoke about the neurodiverse thing last week, but probably an ideal job for me at that time because I didn't have to explain how I got there.
Yeah.
So it was all about, here's your results. Have you done it? Yes or no?
I'm going to ask you one thing. We've been doing this show a while, and what we really need is for you to press that like button and to subscribe. It really helps us. It helps us with that algorithm, and we'd really appreciate it. Get your friends to like it, and get your friends to watch it. Thanks.
So I ended up quitting that job and basically just taking a really temporary job for Alliance and Leicester, who later became part of Santander. Yeah. And the job I got was a CSA. So basically I was on the till. So Customer Support Advisor, it was called. So I did that for about 3 months. And the reason I did it for only about 3 months is I got promoted to personal banker. Now, I didn't get promoted to personal banker because I was good. I got promoted to personal banker is because I couldn't balance a till. So basically, at the end of the day, what you'd have to do is you'd have to count all your till.
Yep.
And
to the penny.
And if you were like a penny wrong.
Yeah.
So I never ever had anything big, but it was always like I'd be like 2p up or like 1p down. And the manager or the counter manager would have to put an error through.
Yeah.
And at the time, desperate not to put an error through. So you were kind of, you'd finish at like, bank would close at 5:30, and I could be there till like 7:30 trying to work out why I had a penny wrong. But what they kind of figured out in that time is that I was great at talking to people.
Yeah.
So the job was getting people into a room so a personal banker could see them, or like a financial advisor, mortgage advisor. That bit, no problem. Counting, a little bit of a problem. It was kind of that was where I was. So I got promoted, and again, like I say, it was probably I got promoted because I was a bit of a problem here, but I think they saw some potential there. I then just I became a like branch manager for Alliance of Leicester. Well, I got put on the trainee manager scheme, and this all kind of happened quite quick. That was just there was a guy called Ian Holland, who I'm still connected with on LinkedIn. Really nice guy. I think he lives in New Zealand now, funny enough. Oh, wow. And he just gave me an opportunity, and that opportunity happened because we were somewhere having a cup of tea. I think he'd done a visit. I think the manager that we had was leaving, or I can't remember, the writing was on the wall, or something wasn't quite right. And he was kind of saying at the time, like, I don't know what to do, and blah blah blah. And where I was in Chelmsford was quite a big unit for Alliance and Leicester, so it wasn't typically the place where you would put like a kind of newbie. Yeah. And I just said, well, look, just give it to me. And at the time I had a group of friends that were working there, and so it was kind of a bit awkward because if they gave you you were going to be managing your mates basically. But he just said, well, it's a big unit, Ross, and blah blah blah. And I said, well, look, just give it to me for a month, and if I don't do a great job, then just either send me somewhere else or put me back to personal banker and just see what happens. And look, thank God he had the kind of courage to go, I'll give you... I think he quite liked that you had that little glint in your eye kind of thing, and you'd have a go. So I got in there, and I remember sitting down with all my friends who were my peers and just saying, look, all the stuff that we've been moaning about and whinging about, and this is how we've got a chance to do it. And it was, I don't know, it felt like I'd been made the manager, but we'd all been made the manager. Yeah. So it kind of, I hear that as a challenge to people sometimes, where they go, well, I've got to manage this guy or that lady or whatever that was my peer. Yeah. But actually that approach was perfect because everyone went mad for the month. Yeah. We got it kind of signed off, and that's how I got into kind of leadership or whatever. But so I spent a long time, so like Alliance and Leicester into Santander, because Santander then basically bought Alliance and Leicester. So A&L were in trouble. Santander swooped in, kind of took over that, and they bought Bradford and Bingley the same sort of time. I then went to Santander, and it's weird I don't know if you've ever worked for a company that got bought by another one.
I've not. No,
it's a bit weird because the perception is, and look, perception is reality to a degree. The perception is that you are, if you've been bought and you're a smaller company, you're kind of a little bit inferior. Yeah. So I made a decision, because we had this kind of 6 to 8 month period where Santander had bought Alliance and Leicester, and it was going to be this transitional period. Yeah. So I said in my head, no, I'm going to move to Santander before. So I moved to a different branch, a smaller one, for Santander, because I had this in my head that everyone would be viewed as inferior. Yeah. So if I get there first, I'll be part of Santander rather than an Alliance and Leicester alumni or whatever. So I made that move, and then just again...
Was you right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was. Yeah. So it was the right instinctive move, right call. And I met this guy at the time called Simon Herbert, who was a kind of regional manager, and there was an opportunity, and I said, well, look, give me that little one. And I think he just had basically a hole to fill, and was just like, well, yeah, that makes sense. So I over you come, and then just started again, and literally just went up the rungs of smaller branch. They had kind of a bit more like 5 tiers at Santander, up to what they called a flagship at the time. Yeah. So got all the way up to kind of flagship in Ipswich. Then became a kind of branch director.
Why Ipswich though? Because you started off in Essex, so you quite a distance.
No, definitely. I mean, it was just where the opportunity was. So I always had in my mind I would just go where the opportunity was.
So you're living away from home,
No.
on your Jack Jones?
No.
All right.
So I had my wife is unbelievable in every way. Love her to bits. She's a great mum, great career in her own right. But she would sacrifice for me always.
Wow.
So she's always been like, yeah, okay, if it makes sense, we'll do it. And I think she's from Sweden as well, so she doesn't necessarily have a geographical tie to a particular area. So yeah, if you think about like, Steve's been London, Essex, now Suffolk, and we've kind of settled in Suffolk really. But yeah,
you've had a bit of a glint in your eye. You're in Wales though, so I think Wales could be a fine.
Well, I quite like Wales, to be honest.
You buy a lot of property down here for the money that you get. I tell you,
listen,
mansion,
very friendly people, and actually, my granddad was from Wales as well. Wow. So he was from near Portmaddock, which is like a mining town.
Yeah, that's up north, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. So look, I've got a bit of a soft spot for Wales. Every now and then I put a bit of Tom Jones on.
That's not unusual.
Very, very good, very good. And it just kind of evolved from there.
Yeah.
So then officially, I ended up coming on board with Finclusion at the beginning of Feb.
Yeah.
As the Chief Commercial Officer, CCO. So we've got the three of us. In our exco as it stands, and the kind of that business. So look, in terms of what Finclusion is and what it does, the mission is just really simple, which is just helping people in the UK get into a vehicle to influence their lives positively.
Yeah.
Look, it's not just a vehicle, it's not just a rate, it's something that can help the individual's life.
Yeah.
I'm really, really passionate about non-standard, what you would call subprime, John.
Yeah.
So I'm really passionate about that because I think there are a lot of people that have either got a FinCredit file, have had a life event, something has gone wrong that has left them in a situation where they cannot achieve.
It goes back to the three things. I'm convinced of it.
Yeah.
It's loss of job, loss of relationship somehow, or what was the other one I said? Loss of job, relationship, or somebody's died, isn't it?
Yeah. There can be a lot of stuff like that. And there's a lot of people out there in the UK that need a chance. And it can also be age and stuff like that. I'm a bit younger and no one else will finance me or whatever. So for me, it's just a really great opportunity to give people a chance. I think it's also a great opportunity to think about, back to your 3 Ps, how that process should look.
Yeah.
And certainly for our other customer, which is the dealer, who would propose to us, we want to facilitate the dealer to be able to move the vehicle.
Yeah.
So where we will sit is at the bottom of the tracks in terms of once finance has been tried to be achieved elsewhere, we would be kind of a last chance.
Yeah.
So it's a no commission model for the dealer. So this is to help the dealer move the metal from the forecourt and onto the customer.
Like a customer coming in and buying cash. That's what it is.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Exactly the same as that. But what we also want to do is give a really good journey to both the dealer and the customer in terms of how it flows from an application to us to the last bit. So it's a non-standard customer in the main, but it should be a unbelievable journey for both the dealer and the customer. Excuse me, frog in my throat. So we're doing a lot of things that I think are quite revolutionary in that space. Things like upfront affordability quickly.
Okay.
So making it very, very quick for the dealer. There's a couple of different journeys for the dealer. So things like we can accommodate a finance first dealer so they can manage a lot of the correspondence, or we can kind of take it away and manage some of that ourselves. So I think there's a customizable or 2 different kind of strands to that. the other.
I'd be interested, and this is going to be live. This is a deal.
Right.
We could help you a bit here with putting your journey through our Drive app.
Yeah.
We've already got that.
Well, hold that thought. Let's have a chat. Yeah. Look, I think, like I say, we wanted a premium feel for the dealer and the customer, and just because I think, and I don't know if you would endorse this thought, but I think traditionally subprime has been very manual, very long, and potentially you've got a customer who has already been said no to a few times that then gets potentially a kind of a substandard journey.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
Yeah, it can be. Again, I'll go back to first response, who do have, great people and a great process. The process can take a little longer, or at least when I was there, bearing in mind I left in 2016. Yeah. Christ, is it like that's 10 years ago? Yeah. How did that happen? But 2016. But the reason is that they speak to every customer, and you can't get hold of customers sometimes. But other than that, their process is phenomenal, and I will say that. So do you do same-day payout, or is that
absolutely.
Again, another thing for a dealer, it's a no-brainer, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. And also that, what you're talking about is the I&E for first response. So our I&E is digital. Yeah. So again, it can be a lot quicker for the customer and kind of move for that. So the kind of tech philosophy has been to build in fantastic technology from elsewhere, almost like, so we've partnered with Redline to be our kind of loan management system, but then to plug in the best pieces of technology we can find to make that journey really seamless and exceptional for the customer and for the dealer.
Yeah. Well, so what challenges? What's the real challenge you've come up against doing this now?
Well, look, it's been a long process, kind of setting up and making sure all of that technology is right alongside an FCA application. I mean, I say long process, but really 8 months isn't that long.
That's about average for a full authorization.
In all fairness, but I think what you had at the time is 3 pretty ambitious people. Yeah. So probably what is a normal time seemed like an age.
Yeah, because you want to get going, of course.
You want to get going. And we're still kind of, we're just at launch now, and we're still fighting those urges to go, right, turn everything on. But we want to get this right, and we want it to be right for the dealers and the customers.
There'll be a lot of getting things wrong.
Of course,
but you've got to learn. You've got to learn, and you learn fast.
Absolutely.
I mean, from a business owner with a lot of tech behind us, I can tell you that it's not going to be right the first time.
We appreciate
There's going to be stability issues as well, and that's the biggest problem is stability and getting that. And oh my God, Dev, I'm not going to go into because I'll just start crying.
No one wants that. We might get more hits and start crying. So
of course. The amount of money I spend on Dev each month, a compliance company spend a fortune on Dev. But that's what you've got to do to get the best possible process for the people, and the people being our customers and our internal people, our staff as well.
But look, we're excited, and we think this part of the market is not well represented. Look, there's people in there, but it's like when I was at Close and it was Prime, everything was about competition, right? How can we take some market share from over there? How can we tweak a price to grab market share over there? For us, and to a dealer, this finance should be incremental. Yeah. So it's what we're not coming in, because the first question a dealer asks you is, well, I'm sorted for subprime. It all goes here. You're not going to get in. And it's kind of like, well, hold on. Yeah. This is another opportunity for you that sits below that. So I think that's really exciting. Yeah. And I think it's really exciting for the automotive market in general.
Well, I always say the proof in the pudding's always in the eating. So as long as you write in that business, you say that you're going to write, then phenomenal. It is, it'll be a game changer for the car dealers out there. Is it just cars you're dealing with at the moment?
It's cars and motorcycle
right.
on day one, and then look, we'll see how that goes in terms of whether that will branch
I suppose LCVs will be a little bit different because a lot of that be buying for businesses, and then there'll be unregulated agreements, and it's
of course,
and
look, that's a different challenge, but it's not necessarily a challenge that we won't realise in the future.
Yeah.
But I think for right now, this is kind of where we're at, and as a kind of starting position. Obviously, we understand those assets pretty well.
Yeah. I used to go mad when I was at First Response. I don't know if this is still the case, because again, it's over 10 years ago. But they used to do subprime, non-standard, for vans, and the first thing they used to ask the white van man was 3 months bank statements. Now I can tell you one place the white van man does not put his money, and that's the fucking bank, right? So I was like, you're asking, it's the wrong thing you're asking for, So, but then you got to prove income. So they caught between a rock and a hard place. How they've overcome that, I do not know. If they've overcome that, but it is a tough one.
I mean, we will do self-employed, which will be an open banking. So we think, and again, it's a we think until we get going properly. So we think, due to the tech feeds in and the data that we're getting in terms of insight, that our affordability will be able to make a decision on about 50% without asking for proofs, which is not bad in that kind of space. So
it's a tough market though as well, especially with subprime, because I've always said the easiest job in the world is lending money. It's the easiest job. Me and you could have a stack of money, like they have in Dragon's Den now. We could sit you with a stack of money. Just go, have this, right? John and Ross is money lending.
Yeah.
It's getting it back is the tough thing.
Of course.
That's the very, very hard. That's the art. And I always, again, I'll go back to Don Bruff, who's the CEO of First Response. And he once said, we're a lending company. And what is it? We're what did he say? We're
like a collections company.
We're a collections company who lend money. That was it.
Yeah.
We're a collections company who lend money. And I went, whoa, that's very good.
Yeah.
Collecting it is the hard thing, especially with subprime.
Yeah, I think so. But also, look, we really believe we've got a good team behind us who do our credit risk. We really believe in kind of what we've put together in that space. So look, the art of being a great lender is lending to the right people in the space. Look, I refuse to believe that people in non-standard are kind of everyone's a problem. I just don't subscribe to that at all.
Again, there's some very successful subprime companies out there, non-standard companies. So everybody can.
And look, and us as a group of individuals, and I guess particularly me, I'm just really passionate about all kinds of people, and I think people can have a blip. People can make a mistake, people can have a thin file and still need a vehicle to get where they need to get to. And I think we have a responsibility as lenders in the UK to help those people.
So what advice have you got for a young Ross Chambers, would you say? Somebody starting out on a career in finance.
That's a great question, isn't it? I mean, probably what I would say to a young Ross would be different to what I would say to a young person who asks for advice. So I can answer both of them if you like. So to a young Ross, I would just say, just control your thoughts better. So basically, don't give yourself such a hard time about nonsense. And just believe in yourself a wee bit more. So that kind of imposter syndrome, that kind of stuff, particularly when I was a lot younger, just haunted me for such a long time. So I would say, don't listen to that and just move forward, understand yourself a little bit better. For people that, like a young person that wanted to get into finance I would just say, look, just enjoy it. Remember, it's about people. So whatever you do, whether you work with people, whether you are dealing with a customer or whatever, just remember the most important skill is empathy.
Yeah.
So being able to empathise in someone's situation is going to get you very, very far. Work hard, like outwork people. If your work ethic is strong, you will always have more time than someone that you're competing against. Work hard. And probably the other one is just try and, not to contradict the work hard bit, but just focus on balance. Like, don't work hard, but don't work hard at the expense of your health or love or your family or whatever. So just balance.
Okay, we don't know who the next guest is going to be.
Yeah.
Right? But what bit of advice would you give them? One bit. Maybe something that's resonated with you.
Okay. My one piece of information or advice or whatever you want to call it would be, let a bad experience go.
Oh.
And probably the main, I think people carry stuff for so long, and even like a crap interaction with a person.
Yeah.
So you could meet someone that maybe you've admired from afar or whatever, and you go up to that person and they're not very nice to you, right? Or they tell you to go away or whatever. So things like that used to bother me for a long, long time. Now I just think, well, that person could be having all kinds of stuff could be going on.
Wow.
And so just let it go.
Yeah.
Don't harbour a grudge.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
Life's too short for that. I know people that they haven't spoken to, father and son, and spoke with each other for 20 years. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Because when they're dead forever, And
it's that. I mean, I find that crazy. And look, if you've got me in your life, you've probably got me forever.
Yeah.
So I think my dad could hit me over the head with a frying pan and knock me out, and I just wake up and say, "Why did you do that, Dad?" So, do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think just don't harbour resentment and bad feeling, because it's just a bad day for you.
Life's really short.
Yeah.
Life's really, really short. And the chances of me being here or you being here is something like 1 in how many billion?
Yeah.
Right? And the Earth is what? Billions of years old. Oh, like the dog, she's coming to you now. The dog's...
We've cracked it.
Like that. That's we've cracked it.
Wow. You must have heard my final thought.
And the chances are just so... We're on this... just a tiny little bit of the whole of life. So don't mess it up. Don't just enjoy it. And I don't get why life's too short for grudges and shit. So, Ross, thank you very much.
Thanks for
Unless you
having me.
got something else you want to talk about.
Thank you for having me.
It's been quite cathartic, really, isn't it?
It is,
They're nice. It's good. So thank you very much for joining us. And that's how it is.
Really enjoyed it. Thanks.